When it comes to talking about health, it's not exactly the most glamorous thing, but it is probably one of the most important things that you guys are gonna hopefully not have to think about, but if it does come up that you're having to worry about your health or the health of one of your friends, we want you to be prepared. All right, sit down. So you might be wondering why we're bothering to talk about this today, why we won't just talk about it when you come in for your visit to see me, for your pre-travel physical, or why your sponsors can't just handle it when you go. Not all of you are going to have medically trained sponsors, therefore they are not and should not be providing you any sort of medical information, particularly in regards to prescription medication that you'll be taking with you. So it's on you to make the determination for whether or not you need to take medications that are prescribed to you or made available to you, and not to rely on somebody else. It might be kind of a novel concept to not have someone else to ask. In the dorms, you guys have Nurse Mary, call your mom, call a friend. In another country, you're the person who makes that determination. So it's really important that by the time you leave, you feel at least semi-comfortable knowing what challenges you might face and how you should handle it. So this is a beautiful freshwater lake that Dr. Moody went swimming in. He's the one who made most of this presentation, so a lot of the pictures are from trips that he has taken. The caveat here is you really shouldn't go swimming in something that looks like that unless you know for sure that these little creatures here to the right don't live there, because those are parasites that can make you very, very sick that live in fresh water. So why should you be concerned? Glad you asked. Here's some statistics. Out of every 100,000 travelers from America to international countries, half of them will get sick with something. So look to your left, look to your right. One of those people's gonna get sick. Do I have your attention now? Out of those 100,000, 5,000 are significantly ill and confined to bed. If you are one of those 5,000 people, you are no longer an effective missionary, and you are now a drain on the local resources rather than an asset to them. And we don't really want that. 1,100 are incapacitated in their activities and can remain sick once they come back to the United States. 300 have to be hospitalized. You might think, oh, that's all right. Hospitals are pretty great places. Not always. This is totally not politically correct. I didn't put it in there. That's definitely Dr. Moody's doing, so if you have a problem, you can take it up with him. But the idea being that where you're going, some of the idea is that it's a rather primitive place and they need assistance. So you don't want to be relying on them. As a missionary, you should be going to only be an asset and to not be a drain on their few resources. That being said, if you do have an unexpected medical concern and you need extra help, absolutely seek help. Just don't plan on using that as your first option. $50 will have to be transported out of the country for medical reasons. I'm sure Melissa's probably mentioned to you that there is a plan in place for if something crazy happens, you fall and break your leg and need emergency surgery. Yeah, you can get back to the United States for that. But 1 out of 100,000 will die in country. Not terrible odds, but we can shift the deck in your favor. It is preventable. So the most common cause of those 50,000 people out of the 100,000 that are going to get sick is going to be a minor travel illness like traveler's diarrhea. You might think, I've had diarrhea before, it's not that bad. Traveler's diarrhea is not regular diarrhea. It's also known as like Montezuma's revenge, if you've ever heard of that. It's serious, and people sometimes require hospitalization because it can cause significant dehydration, not only because of the amount of fluid lost through going to the bathroom, but it can also cause significant nausea and vomiting, which means you can't replace the fluids that you're losing. Respiratory infections, just like you guys might get sick here if you're not getting a lot of sleep when you're traveling across the country, risk applies when you're going to foreign countries as well. Rashes, lots and lots of people came back with rashes last year from these trips that went on at spring break. And then, of course, the run-of-the-mill nausea, vomiting, because you're having foods, drinks that you're not necessarily used to. Some people get plane sick, car sick, those kind of things. And we can equip you from the University Health Center with medications to help you handle all of those on your own so that you can get back to feeling your best very quickly. If you have traveler's diarrhea, the fan or your equivalent based off of your location is what you will be seeing, because you'll be in bed looking straight up at the ceiling when you're not in the bathroom looking at the toilet. This little microbe over here, that's E. coli under a microscope. That little bug can wreak havoc on your GI tract. Traveler's diarrhea, the most common thing. It usually will occur in the first week of travel. Guys, you're only going to be gone a little over a week. So it's sudden onset of diarrhea, abdominal cramps, sometimes fever, and then malaise, which pretty much means generalized body aches and fatigue. You know when you have this, there isn't like a doubt in your mind, like, oh, my stomach's a little upset. No, you know you're in pain, you're confined to a bathroom, and you're miserable. It's not caused by viruses. How many of you got sick right here after Acrofest? Did anybody get sick with a GI bug right around the time of Acrofest? Not a single one of you? Wow, okay. Well, we had a GI bug that went around campus right after Acrofest. The health department got involved with it. It was a whole lot of fun for me. But it was caused by a virus that unfortunately kind of spread throughout the entire country because the people who got it at Acrofest took it home with them. That was a virus. That is self-limited. Supportive care of increased fluids, rest, in a day or so you're going to be better all on your own. Viruses don't respond to antibiotics, but traveler's diarrhea does because it's caused by bacteria. So we can help you get sick, get better from being sick much faster. And you can reduce your risk by clean food and water sources. So be careful where you eat from. These pictures, again, are from some of Dr. Moody's trips. The little boy on the left had found himself a roadkill iguana, or whatever that is, and was planning on taking it home for dinner that evening. And the man on the right was preparing food at a roadside food hut and was selling his food. While it might be fun to try the local cuisine like this, there is no food inspector that comes to these places to make sure that the food and the meat is kept at proper temperature before it's cooked, or that it's cooked thoroughly, or that people are washing their hands thoroughly after going to the bathroom, anything like that. So if you do choose to eat from somewhere like this, be aware that it is a significant risk to your health when you do that. Also be careful where you get your drink from. Even fresh water might not always be so fresh. So what's safe and what's not? You'll notice on the left side that everything is thoroughly cooked. It is either hot or very cold, comes in a prepackaged container like the water or the milk, and the fruit has its skin on it that you peel prior to eating it. If you are going to eat fruit like a banana or an orange, you want to wash the banana or the orange as well as your hands before you start to peel. That way, if there is any contamination on your hands or on the fruit skin, it's cleansed off before you start opening it, and you don't end up inadvertently infecting the actual fruit on the inside. The food and drink on the left, up at the top, it contains ice. Don't drink any ice or fountain drink wherever you're going. Same goes with popsicles, street food, even salads. You might think, oh, salads are healthy, right? We don't know that they've been properly washed or how they've been handled, what kind of fertilizer was used on those foods as they were growing. It's not always what you think it is. And then the fruits and the berries at the bottom. It's much harder to clean fruit like that with all of the nooks and crannies to get it completely clean, and it isn't worth the risk. Any questions about that? This might be the only time I'll ever tell you it's better to drink a Coke than to drink water. If the water, it doesn't come in a water bottle. This pretty much says in word form what the picture said. Hand washing and hand sanitizer is great. Hand sanitizer does not get rid of every single germ. It's definitely better than nothing, but if you have the option of actually washing your hands before you eat, please take up that option. That's a safer option. Unsafe foods, like we said, nothing raw or undercooked, no sushi, nothing soft or runny, and I caution you against food from street vendors. Again, anything that comes hot or anything that comes manufactured and unopened. Don't drink tap or well water. Don't drink fountain drinks or drinks made from tap or well water or anything unpasteurized. So this little mosquito causes a lot of different things, really. Most commonly malaria, the Aedes aegypti mosquito. But mosquitoes also cause a lot of other things that we can't prevent or treat with medications. You can see malaria is the only disease on the list that is not caused by a virus, which means it's the only one that we can actually treat with medication. Zika, I'm sure you guys probably heard a lot about Zika, maybe was it 5 years ago when it became really a big deal. Zika is a viral illness that can make you feel like you might have the flu. It's most risky to pregnant women, which I doubt any of you would fall into that category on this trip. However, you can still get sick, and you wouldn't want to do that, especially if you can avoid it. Yellow fever, I believe Melissa is someone coming after me, yes, to talk about yellow fever. So we won't get into that. Yellow fever is a huge deal though, and it is preventable with a vaccine, but that's the only way to prevent it other than to not get bit by the mosquito. Dengue, chikungunya, equine encephalitis, West Nile virus, all viruses that can make you very, very sick. Malaria is not a virus, it is actually a little parasite. From here. There we go. So Zika, chikungunya, mild vague symptoms, fever, fatigue, headache, achiness, and with chikungunya you might have really severe joint pain. If you have a fever at any point during your trip, and you might wonder, well, how will I know if I have a fever? You know you have a fever because you have chills. Nobody should have chills pretty much anywhere that you're going. Chills, body aches, and a severe headache. Typically when you have a fever, you also have really bad back pain. So if at any point you're concerned that you might have a fever, find someone to check your temperature. You should get help and get medical opinions right away, because fevers are beyond just the average cold. Yellow fever, again, won't go too much into it because those of you who are at risk for it will get a much more in-depth talk, but it can make you incredibly sick. Dengue, we have had students who have come back from trips with dengue. It's very rare, but it has happened. It's a hemorrhagic fever, so it attacks the platelets, which are the part of your blood that makes your blood clot. You might think, well, if I'm not going to cut my arm open, I'm not at risk. That's not true. You can see this person with the rash on the right. Those are little tiny capillary breaks that cause the bleeding underneath the skin. Same goes with the man with his eyes. Sometimes you'll end up needing a transfusion of platelets and packed red blood cells in order to keep yourself hemodynamically stable. Nobody likes to do blood transfusions. Most people who get blood transfusions are pretty nervous about it. Now picture getting that blood transfusion in Egypt or Morocco or something like that. You'd probably rather not do that, right? Right? Can somebody nod? Thank you. Okay. Malaria. Malaria is from the Plasmodium parasite. Not all of you are going to have this at risk, but some of you will. It makes you horrendously sick. Has anyone here ever had malaria? Yeah. So there's usually at least one. Did you feel really, really terribly sick? Yeah. The best way to prevent getting malaria is to not get mosquito bites. Beyond that, those of you who are going to be in malaria at-risk areas will be recommended a medication prophylaxis or preventative that I will prescribe for you. And you take it starting before your trip, and then you continue it while you're on your trip. And then you continue it for another week once you come back, and that can prevent most people who either are exposed or bitten by a malaria-containing mosquito from keep you from getting that illness. Dusk and dawn are the most likely times to be bitten, but it can happen at any time during the day. So for prevention, prevention is always the best way because, again, malaria and yellow fever are the only two things that we can help protect you against preventatively and prophylactically. Everything else we can only manage once you get sick, and we'd really rather not do that. So things like off or any other chemical protection, but also wearing long sleeves, long pants. You don't need to look like the person up here on the top right. That's a bit overkill. Even the people on the bottom right are a bit overkill. But if you wanted to wear it, power to you. For those of you who are going to the Middle East, like she already said, modesty is going to be a key factor. Use that to your advantage, and don't just think of long items of clothing, but think of loose items of clothing, because a mosquito, have you guys ever gotten bit by a mosquito through jeans or through like leggings or something like that? It can happen. So if you're wearing loose clothing, well, that dramatically decreases that risk. But you do want to be as covered up as possible with loose fitting clothing, sweat wicking clothing, so that you don't have to worry about getting bit. Mosquitoes like standing water, so you can see a lot of examples of standing water. If you happen to see anything like that around where you're staying, be aware that you are at an increased risk of mosquito bite. And if at all possible, ask people who are at the compound why that water is there and if it can be dumped out. So there are a crazy amount of different things that you can do to prevent from getting bit by mosquitoes with chemicals. DEET is the most effective. You want to make sure it's over 20%. Does anyone ever use Avon? I don't know. Dr. Moody put that there. Consider getting sticks and lotions or creams rather than sprays. They travel better. And then permethrin. You can get this at Walmart, and it's something that even the military uses on their clothing before they go out, because what you do is you get something like this, you lay out your clothing, and then you spray your clothing in a heavy application, let it dry, usually for about 30 minutes, flip your clothing over, spray again, do the same thing, and let it dry. And then the mosquito prevention is on your clothing, and you don't have to put as much on your skin. And it will stay through a couple washes too, which is really nice. So that's the permethrin, and it works really well. Moving on from mosquitoes, don't go in quote unquote fresh water. Have any of you taken microbiology? Maybe a couple of you, so you might know where we're going with this. There are parasites that enter your body through the shoreline of some freshwater places, and they burrow into your skin. Sometimes you don't even know that they're there, and then they travel through your body throughout their life cycle and infect different parts of your body. So if you are going to be on the shore of fresh water, make sure you're wearing shoes, enclosed shoes, not just flip-flops. You want to make sure that your foot is completely covered, so that you're not at risk for getting any of these other parasites in through your feet. A sick missionary is an ineffective missionary. Like we said earlier, if at all possible, don't be a drain on the local resources. Try to remain just an asset. And don't do stupid stuff like this. This was one of Dr. Moody's trips where he and his friends were hanging out on the top of a moving truck with no way to make sure that they actually stay on top of the moving truck. If one of them had fallen off, they could have gotten seriously hurt and it would have really ruined their trip. This is the CDC website that you all have access to. Please make use of it, familiarize yourself with it. cdc.gov/travel, and you put in where you're going, and it will give you up-to-date information about what current health bulletins there are, different things that you should consider bringing with you, those kind of things. And then when you come and see me for your visit, which is included in the cost of your trip, we can talk more specifically about what vaccines you should get that you may or may not already have, and what medications you might need. I guess I got a little ahead of myself. We'll talk about your immunizations at your pre-travel visit. We'll make sure that if you have any chronic illnesses or any recurrent illnesses, fears of flying, motion sickness, asthma, anything along those lines, that you have everything that you need to take care of them before you go. Again, you will be prescribed something for traveler's diarrhea, actually two somethings for traveler's diarrhea, both an antibiotic to treat it and an anti-nausea, anti-vomiting medicine to make sure that you are able to take the antibiotic and keep it down and not throw it right back up. And medicine that will treat upper respiratory infections and then anything else individually that you might need. Your survival kit. We have these now pre-made at the University Health Center for your travel convenience. The nausea medicine, antibiotics. We don't have the malaria medicine. Those would be a secondary prescription. Tylenol is in the survival kit, as well as ibuprofen, and antidiarrheal medications and antihistamines. What about charcoal? Charcoal, we Adventists really love our charcoal. When you're overseas, though, it's not the greatest thing to rely on, especially if you're already taking other prescription medications like anti-malaria medicine, ladies, if you're on any form of hormone or antibiotics, anyone who might be taking Accutane, any prescription medication that you're taking, charcoal binds with it and removes it from the body. Gone. So you might think that you're doing yourself a favor when you actually might be prolonging an illness like traveler's diarrhea by taking it. So when in doubt, don't take charcoal if you're taking any other medication. Women have actually gotten pregnant because they were on birth control pills and they took charcoal. That's how well it works at removing prescriptions from your body. So therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your body as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. It is your spiritual act of worship. We want you all to be equipped to be safe, happy, and healthy while you're over there. Like I said, the people who are going with you, who are responsible for you, are not necessarily medical people, and even if they are, they might not have the prescriptive authority in the United States in order to be able to recommend things, so it would be out of their scope of practice to be recommending anything to you. So it's really important that by the time you leave, you've had all of the conversations and done all the research that you need to do for yourself individually, so that you can take care of yourself. That being said, if you go and your friend doesn't have anything and they're sick and they need something, legally you are not allowed to share any prescriptive medication. Tylenol, Motrin, that's fine. But if you have a prescription medicine that was written for you, it is actually illegal to share it. So it's really important that everyone take responsibility for themselves and get the medication that they need. Any questions? Not a single one? All right. Oh, one other thing. Please schedule your pre-travel physical well before you leave. By that I mean Don't wait till the day before you're leaving on your trip, because a lot of these things we need to do 2 weeks in advance, particularly immunizations. It takes 2 weeks to develop immunity to those immunizations, so you need to start way in advance. To do that, you want to call the clinic. Our office phone number is 423-236-2713, and call and schedule. We don't do these on a walk-in basis because these take time. We have a pretty in-depth conversation where you have my full and undivided attention. So please come in a minimum of 2 weeks before your trip. And please don't all of you wait till the last minute, because there's a lot of you in here, okay? So be merciful on my staff and try to spread yourselves out and start coming right away when we come back from Christmas break. Thank you.
I have a question for you. What is the best way to prepare for this pre-travel visit? What should a student do before they come to you?
Thank you for asking, Melissa. When you guys sign up as freshmen, there's the immunization form that all of you have to fill out. That's not a complete immunization history. So some of you just send in from your doctor your complete immunization history from the time you were a day old. Others of you, we only have partial immunizations. So what I'd recommend is, no matter who you are, bring in with you your entire immunization history. That way we know when your last tetanus was, for example, because we don't ask for that for you to attend Southern. That's kind of a big deal. If you haven't had a tetanus in a while, we need to update it. Those kind of things. A lot of you will need a hepatitis A, for example. You haven't already had it, and we don't ask about it when you come to school here. So all of those things are important to know. Make sure if you take any medications, you bring those medications in with you. A lot of times it's hard to remember the dose or what we take or how often we take it, so bring in the bottle or the inhaler or anything like that. Bring it all with you so that we're not having to call pharmacies or mom and dad and try to figure that out. And plan on it being about a 30-minute visit.
So there's the several page handout in their booklets called TravX. Is that something to look at before they come see you, and what is included in the TravX?
Yes, so we pay extra money through the University Health Center to have access to TravX. That's why the TravX information was not in my presentation and CDC was. CDC is free and available to everybody. TravX is specialized information that is continually updated. So you guys have the most recent information for your destination. And it includes pretty much anything and everything that could go wrong medically for where you're going. So that's a lot of information. I would really encourage you guys to look over it, read over it, familiarize yourselves with it, and come when you see me with any questions. We are going to go over it item by item for every single one of you, which is why I say plan on this taking about 30 minutes. But that way you have at least a little bit of knowledge, and we're not starting from complete scratch when you come in. And that way you can have the opportunity to talk to mom and dad or whoever about vaccines that you may or may not have already had, and you can come in with that idea, and it'll save you guys a lot of time.
The last thing that I want to say is that the health center probably wouldn't toot their own horns, but they really are the experts in travel medicine. So, definitely you can go and see your regular family doctor over the break. But they may or may not know as much specifically about travel medicine as Professor Master Mix and Dr. Moody may. So I definitely recommend coming to see them. Also, like she mentioned, the cost for your consultation is already included in your cost for the mission trip, so you've already paid for it. So they are ready and willing and excited to provide this service for you. So please take advantage of that. Even if you do consult your family physician back home and you still want to just double check on some things, you can still make another follow-up appointment with the University Health Center. Again, please don't all go right in February. They can't do a whole lot for you if you come super last minute. Also, if all of you wanted to get malaria meds at the same time, you're likely to just take all of Chattanooga's supply. So just again, if you want to be the most prepared to be healthy on your mission trip, you need to plan ahead for that and make your appointments as soon as possible. All right. Okay, thank you so much. Christina has a few comments for you. Caleb's gonna close with prayer, and then those of you that are required for yellow fever, which is only the Perus, I think. Oh, and Colombia. If you're going to Colombia or on either of the Peru trips, you'll need to stick around to learn specifically about yellow fever, which you will need if you're going to those locations. Non-negotiable, not designated by me, but by the host organizations and countries. So here we go, Christina. Again, this is one of those opportunities that now you can take out an electronic device.
Okay, so like Melissa said, I want you all to take out your phone or computer and go to your web browser and go to southern.edu/uQuest. Okay, so once you're there, you're going to hit apply and sign in with your Southern username and password. Okay, how many of you are there by a raise of hands? Okay, I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, you guys there? We good? Okay, so then you're going to hit view application. You're going to see all of Melissa's info. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to scroll down until you see step 1, step 2, and step 3. Now, here's what I need. Hopefully, all of your step 1s should be complete. How many step 1s are complete? Can you raise your hands? Awesome. Okay, now, step 2. I need copies of everyone's passports. If I do not have it, please bring it in before Christmas break because we have already started purchasing tickets and we do not want to get your name wrong because then it costs all of us lots of money. Okay, so if you have not completed the university approval agreement, funding, or forms, I would like you to do that right now. And I'm going to tell you why you're doing it right now is because I'm in charge of all of the application process, and there are over 200 people that are in progress on the application, okay? One person for 200. And I will not tell you how many times, you all have gotten emails from me, I know you have. And I have better things to do, okay? I do not want to sit at the computer and text you guys and email you every day to remind you to do this. So, please sign in. Again, I really need application fee, you all should have paid. Schedule interview, you've all done it if you're sitting here. I need you to sign the university approval agreement, copy of passport, you need to bring it to the office, and then I need you to fill out funding and forms. Funding is all about the crowdfunding page that Mrs. Delgado talked about. The link on the funding does not work. I email you a link with the instructions. Again, if that's not working for you, email us at uQuest and we'll get that sorted out for you individually. Okay, so how many people have signed the university approval agreement? Okay, still missing some hands. How many, your passport is turned in? Okay, how many the funding is completed? Melissa, yours isn't. And forms. Awesome. Okay, so please make sure that that's done by the time of break because that will help me a lot. Thank you. Caleb.
So I just want to say also, we spent a lot of time texting and emailing all of you. If you would please, I know you get so many texts and emails. Like Christine said, we don't just do that for fun. And sometimes the text or email is very time sensitive. Like we've got an amazing deal on tickets, and we have to purchase them within 24 hours. So we really need for you to be paying attention to those texts and emails. Because it does take a lot of work that can be used some other way. So please just be responsive. We really appreciate that. I'm gonna let Kayla give our closing prayer, and then just stick around if you are going to Peru or Colombia. Again, there's a packet on both of the tables, on the tables right out in front of these double doors right here that are specific to funding, fundraising. So grab one of those on your way out. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for being the amazing God and Creator that you are. God, thank you so much for the opportunity to do something a little bit more and a little bit different than our average everyday spring break. And I pray that all the information that we learned today can stick with us. I pray that everything goes absolutely perfect with all of the trips and that nothing can go wrong because you are in control. And I pray that each and every person here gives up control to you and knows what that means. In the name of Jesus, I pray.
All right, so again, if you're going to Peru or Colombia, stick around. For everyone else, you may leave at this time. Thank you so much.